What's up everyone, welcome back to Cartooned and welcome to the first video of this kind on my channel. Let me explain. This is my attempt at a mini podcast and my aim is to do a video of this kind every week where I plan to cover topics like what future videos are coming to Cartooned, stories that happened in the car world in the past few days, and I'll also be sharing awesome content I've seen on the web in the past week. YouTube videos, Instagram or Facebook accounts that are worth a follow. But first, a few channel updates. My aim now is to upload 2 videos every week, one of these podcasts and a regular video just like the ones you've seen so far here. An M2 film, an owner story, a review, stuff like that. And if time allows it, there will be some weeks where I will post a 3rd video as a bonus, which will most likely be a POV style video. So stay tuned. Now before we jump into it, let's recap what's been going on during the summer on my channel. Just a few days ago I've published my Golf R review, then we've had a couple of M2 videos, the practicality and tech review, and 5 things I hate about it. A video in which I got quite a lot of hate. Then we've had an owner story with an epic E30 M3, we talked about the M2 competition prices, I experienced a mental flame-spitting Audi RS4 sedan, and finally I've also spent 5 days with a quite excellent Golf GTI. My first ever press car in Sweden, thanks to Volkswagen Sweden. You have the links to all of these videos in the description down below. In the next few weeks, you'll be able to see me drive the legendary BMW E34 M5, the fabulous Honda Civic Type R, the surprisingly delightful VW Up GTI, and much more. But coming up this week is my BMW M2 driving review. Now on to the first story of the day, and this is something I've said I'll address in my Golf R video review. And I'm talking about the fact that the Golf R is not simply just a faster Golf GTI. There's more to it than that. So without further ado, here are 5 key differences between the Golf R and the Golf GTI. And the first and most obvious point is power. Both cars have 2-liter turbocharged petrol engines, but while the standard GTI has 220 of them and 245 for the performance version, the Golf R has 310 at its disposal. That's quite a difference, and even though both engines have the same capacity, they are quite different. In the Golf R, the connecting rods, the pistons, the head gasket, the exhaust cam and the exhaust valves in the cylinder head are different. Not to mention the front-mounted intercooler and the bigger turbo on the R. Point number 2 is traction. The Golf GTI is front-wheel drive, while the R is all-wheel drive. Pretty big difference there. Granted, the R's all-wheel drive system is a Haldex one, which means that in everyday use, the car is front-wheel drive. But when the situation calls for it, the system can set up to 50% of the power to the rear wheels. Point number 3 is related to the fact that the Golf R has a number of exclusive optional extras. The first one is the 7-speed DSG box as opposed to the 6-speed the GTI has. Then you have the performance pack, which gets you 19-inch wheels, a roof spoiler and bigger, better and lighter brakes. And finally there's the option to fit your Golf R with an amazing Akrapovic exhaust from factory. But don't believe me, listen to it yourselves. Number 4 on my list is the design. And yes, they do look very similar, but there are a few key differentiators. The front end, for example. The lower part of the bumper is unique to each car, and while the GTI has the red accents and honeycomb grills everywhere, the Golf R is a bit more tame in terms of design. But not when it comes to the back end, where the R features 4 exhaust pipes while the GTI has to make do with just 2. The final differences between the 2 cars is that the GTI is only available as a hatch, whereas the Golf R also comes as an estate. So yeah, if you ask me, I think the Golf R is worth the extra money, but having driven both cars in a matter of a few months, I can safely say that no matter which of the 2 you choose, you won't be disappointed. VW really went all out when developing them, and both are excellent to drive. So that's the first story of the day, so let's move on to a more permanent section for this type of video I'm doing. This week in Awesome, I'll call it. It's a section where I share cool car content that I've been watching in the past few days that I think are worth mentioning to you guys. And let's begin by welcoming my favorite car reviewer, Mr. Henry Catchpole, to the Carfection team. And yes, I am aware I'm a bit late to the party because it's already been a year since he joined, but anyway, here is some epic content they've created so far. First we've had... First we've had the superb Manual Matters award-winning film featuring a Generation 2 911 GT3, then they drove the awesome Aston Martin DBS Superleggera, and lastly I want to mention two more standout videos they've made, and although I'm not a big fan of the cars they feature, the cinematography and storytelling are exceptional. The BMW i8 review and the Rolls-Royce Dawn. Next we've had Engineering Explained run us through how Porsche's anti-lag system works, and then we found out Doug DeMuro bought a Ford GT40. Next, Car Throttle is trying to upgrade a 330D Touring to keep up with an E92 M3 on track, and finally the Evo team has uploaded a video to YouTube in what it seems to be 1000 years. And lastly, Sam from Sintra Glass just announced that he's going around the world in 2019. Find the links to all the videos I've mentioned in the description down below. And now on to the M2 competition. A few months ago, BMW organized an event at the Ascari racetrack in Spain, and the conclusion after the drives are as follows. 1. I wasn't invited, obviously. 2. The engine is a masterpiece, but we already knew that. 3. Its handling is better thanks to the stiffer chassis and retuned suspension. Also, we kinda knew that already. 4th thing is, brakes are better, but still not that good on track at high temperatures. We didn't know that, but we kinda guessed that that would be the case. But should be easily fixable with some proper brake lines and brake fluid. Number 5 is the fact that the seats are a much welcome addition, even though they're not really cheap. And lastly, something that almost everyone there agreed with is the fact that the best upgrade to the package are the new driving modes, taken straight up from the M3. And obviously the new calibration of the DSC system that doesn't intervene as much on the limit. Now that alone makes me excited to drive an M2 competition. Obviously there was a lot of nonsense being communicated about the car. Some said that finally we have a good sounding M2. Others called it the modern day E30 M3. And there were some folks that loved the new adaptive dampers it had. It doesn't have adaptive dampers. But one thing that annoyed me about these press drives is that none of my favorite car reviewers were there. No Chris Harris, no Matt Watson, no Harry Catchpole. I mean, why BMW? What was the idea behind that? I mean, it's an awesome car, so why not have everybody there to drive it? But anyways, I've added some links in the description to some of the reviews of the new M2 competition that I think are worth reading. But that's it for today's episode, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed this format. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Cartoon for plenty more videos to come. And don't forget, my M2 driving review is coming up this week. And until next time, take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you around.